yeah. And so like you kind of have enough, but definitely could have used a little more diversity, I think, just to help that out. But I do want to mention at least that, Neil Marshall, who, his career hasn't really gone anywhere since this movie, which is kind of sad. I mean, because this was such a success. I remember it was made for like $4 or $5 million maybe, and I want to say it did something like 60, across the world.
Right.
And like such a huge success, such a really respected horror movie, and one of those ones that like did really well for both critics and audiences at that time. And then he kind of just didn't really go anywhere. But I remember that he had said something to the effect of like he wanted it to be all women in the cast instead of having like a co-ed cast, because he really saw that there was an underserving of women in horror movies, like kind of like this, besides like, whether they're brutally murdered. Right.
Yeah.
And so I love that. I think that that's a really cool, thing to have. And I think that it kind of makes it, hold up a little bit too. Like it just, where it just is, you're able to kind of watch it now and like imagine it being made now, and it works. And I think across the board, I think it's just really well done, well shot. Everything about it is just, I think, really, really great. So again, I just bring up the fact that what happened to Neil Marshall?
Well, he's done a lot of TV. Just checking his own TV. He did some episodes of Game of Thrones. He did an episode of Westworld. He did do that the David Harbour Hellboy film, which I never saw because it had terrible reviews.
Right. I mean, no one went and saw that. That might have been his shot, I guess. I don't know. It's just one of those things.
He's been working steadily, just nothing that's kind of broken through, I guess.
Right. Well, not like this, certainly. Yeah.
No, not like this. I remember seeing the film we made prior to Descent, Dog Soldiers, a long time ago, and I remember it being good, but that's about all I could tell you. So I need to check out some more Marshall films, it turns out.
I think Doomsday, like I remember being interested in it because I was like, oh, it's the guy who did The Descent, and then looking at it in a trailer or in reviews and being like, I think I'll pass.
I saw it in the cinema, and I can't remember it. That was a year when I lived in London and it was the year I was first working, so I didn't have any kind of homework or anything. I had more free time, and a cinema near me that was on Mondays £2.20 to see any film. So I went to the cinema every Monday, and I saw everything that came out in 2008, pretty much. And Doomsday came out in 2008, and so I saw it, if I can remember it.
Lucky you. It's funny, I remember seeing The Descent in theaters. Like, I have very vivid memories of it, because 2005 was the year I graduated from high school. And so it was, like, starting to, like, freedom a little bit more and just kind of being able to do more things on my own. And that mattered a little bit because I was kind of held back from seeing movies even up until I was like 17 even. Like, it's like I could go see an R-rated movie, but I wasn't allowed to. It was that kind of situation. Not great. Anyway, different story. And once I kind of graduated and was kind of like, I was working, and so it was like, I don't know, I started doing more things, and going to see The Descent was one of those things. I just very much remember like kind of legs up in my chair sort of thing, because I was just like, because the claustrophobia is just on a theater screen, like, is another level.
Yeah, I can imagine. You're I tried to make the room that I'm in as dark as possible to watch this, because it's a very dark film, so if you don't do that, you can't see anything. So I've got some blackout curtains. And so I tried to recreate that experience as much as I can. But yeah, I imagine seeing this in the cinema would have been incredible.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so what do you think is like the scarier part of this? Do you think it is the cavernning, or it is the monsters? Because there's the scene early on.
I mean,
well, not early on, like a third of the way through the film, when Sarah gets stuck in the small crevice, the small passage they're getting through, and she's got the rope bag, and like Beth, she's having a full-on panic attack.
As you do.
As completely understandable. I would have had one a long time before that point in this film. And so Beth like has to come down and talk her out of it, and she's getting there, and then suddenly they feel the cave start to move, and they've got to get through. They lose the rope bag, but they barely escape with their lives. That's maybe the scariest point of the film. This film that has like human-sized monsters coming to eat them alive.
Yeah. I do think that when the two girls in particular like kind of huddled at that one part, and the one like crawls like right by them, and it's like staring at them more or less. Or, I mean, I don't know. Those monsters are pretty scary. I mean, then the moment when Sarah is in their like nest or graveyard or whatever it is, and like they're eating Holly basically, and like
and the one
right in front of her,
stands on her head.
Yeah. Oh, there's that too at the end. Yeah. She's a certifiable badass by that point, though. Like, nothing bothers her. Like, that's something I would like to talk about at some point, is like she has a switch that flips that's just kind of really cool, but also kind of like, it's a deep part of the story, I think, that there's a little bit of that involved. But anyway,
Well, I mean, we can dig into that, because I feel like she has one of the like worst arcs of anyone in any film ever. Where the film starts, where the film starts out, not worst in terms of quality, worst in terms of living through it. The experience that she has to, like, where it starts with her husband and young child being killed.
Yes.
And then, like, a year later, she has this horrible ordeal where she gets trapped underground. The person that she thought was her best friend has Juno, one of her best friends, Juno, just really screwed over the whole team with her plan of going to a different cave, not telling anyone about it. And then she finds, like, all of her friends die. One of them she has to put out of her misery herself with a rock. And then she finds out that the husband who died a year ago was having an affair with one of her best friends.
Yep.
Like,
who then she leaves for dead.
She leaves for dead and descends into this feral state of being, and that's how she is at the end of the film.
So there's two things. So one I was going to mention is that moment where I think she actually, it's a child, one of those monster things that she kills. Like, it's right after this. Is her name Beth, her friend? The most friendly of the friends.
Yes, Beth.
The one that she has to kill. Yeah. So she kills her, or euthanizes her, we'll say. That's a better word for it, I think. And, with a rock. And then there's like a smaller
untraditional euthanizing method.
Yeah, exactly. Not recommended by 4 out of 5 doctors.
Yeah.
And so, like, the
1 out of 5 is okay with
back. Like, jumps on her back, and she like throws it and like kicks it, or whatever, and kills it. I think it's smaller. I think it's a child one.
Yes.
But the reason I say that is because then, like, clearly the mother shows up. So there's like a whole like ecosystem under there, families and stuff like that. And it felt to me like the fact that she killed this child, killed the mother, then stuff like that, it almost felt like a parallel to her own story, where like she was a mother, obviously, and she lost her child, and maybe it was like she also was kind of dying. That old version of her died when she killed that other mother, and then from there on she kind of became this just like, badass. Like, she really is, and she just takes down everything and everyone around her, including Juno in the end.
Yeah, I hadn't considered the aspect of her killing another mother, or another child even. That is that has a very good insight to this. I completely agree.
And then I had a question for you. So what is your ending? What's the ending you watched?
Oh, I've seen both. I have the proper UK ending, which is the better ending, not the cut short one.
Agreed.
Which I don't understand, other than setting up for a Descent 2, which, well done, everyone. So yeah, I love the proper ending of she doesn't get out, she's trapped on the ground a long way, because I think we show maybe that's the better stakes. If she were to get out and make it to the car, she's still haunted by the ghost of Juno. That's just adding to her recurring nightmares, as if she doesn't have enough already. So she may as well stay underground and just wreak some more havoc down there.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's the thing, is that I remember seeing it, and I remember the ending. She gets out, and you're kind of excited for her. Obviously, you're excited for her, and like she gets to her car, all that stuff, and she's haunted. So you're just like, yeah, she's just gonna be really messed up for the rest of her life. That's just obvious. That's just where she's gonna be. So there's that. Right. But then to find out that they had this other version, this other ending, where it then, from that moment, it then cuts to her waking up at that spot, at the, like, out of that hill or that whatever she fell on. And then like she has a little vision with her daughter, and then that kind of turns into, oh, that's actually just her torch, and then the creatures are kind of crawling in towards her, right? That's kind of the end.
Yeah. Well, I don't think we see the creatures crawling towards her, but the camera kind of pulls back and we see that she's just way underground still. There is no chance of getting out. And
gotcha.
Yeah,
you might hear them.
Whether the creatures are coming or not, she's done. She's not long for this world.
It's the better ending. I mean, it's obviously a very difficult ending. It's the one, it kind of reminds me of like Get Out. Like that has obviously a pretty famous alternate ending that is much darker, and that kind of didn't play well with some of those first test audiences, and so they changed it and wrote one that audiences would like better. Now, of course, to me, that's a perfect movie and an amazing ending, but it just changes the way that the movie is kind of looked back at, I think, and for good or bad, I think, in both ways.
Yeah. I don't actually know about the alternate if Get
Out. So it's basically instead of his buddy being in the car at the end, it's an actual cop, and Chris goes to jail, and the final scene is his friend coming to see him in prison. And Chris just like walks, like they have a little talk at the window with the phone. And then Chris, like the final shot is Chris walking down the walkway at the prison back to his cell. And like, that's how it ends.
Yeah, I can see that being a much more downer of an ending.
Yeah.
But then,
I mean, that's the thing is that Jordan Peele wrote that, like that's what he wanted it to kind of speak even more to, kind of obviously, Chris being framed for all these things that like he had no control over, and of course he wasn't going to be believed and all that sort of stuff, right? So like I think it tells, again, probably a better story, but it's not as entertaining. People don't get it as excited. I mean, not to talk about Get Out, but I could for an hour, but like it's like the moment when he gets out of the car and you see that it's his buddy, you're just like, I think the whole audience like started clapping and cheering. You know what I mean? Like it was just one of those amazing theater experience moments, and you lose that if you go with the super downer ending, right? So I get the appealing to audiences and wanting to try and like cater to desires, but I don't know. It's a tricky business trying to figure out how to end that movie.
Absolutely, yeah. That's why. I can understand them having maybe before The Descent was released, they weren't sure which ending to go with or where to cut it, because they both. It depends on whether you want the film to end on an upbeat or a downbeat. I just thought this one works better with she's stuck on the ground, because if she got out by that point, I agree with you. Then the creatures get out all the time. This is going to be a problem.
Right. Yeah.
It makes more sense to me that she's
so. Yeah, and you made a quick point about it, like it sets up Descent too, which it did, and it's a movie I did not see, but I did read the entire plot synopsis because I was like, I'm not going to watch this movie. But I did read it, and I was like, good Lord, like it just sounds like a dumpster fire. So, yeah.
Yeah, because not only is Sarah still alive, so is Juno.
Juno. Yeah, exactly.
No.
Yeah. That was hard to stomach.
But reading through it, I did appreciate they find like Sam is still stuck, descended from the ceiling, and they use her body to swing across. I was like, oh, good.
Right. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so who do you think amongst our cast who goes out the worst? Because there's, I would say, other than the opening car crash, there's 4 deaths that we see, and then Juno is kind of left with a bad leg and a swarm of beasts to deal with. So of the
right.
4, Holly is our reckless spelunker who just charges off like a big old dummy, falls down a hole. Very frustrating scene where she's like, it's this way, I'm going to run. It's like, no, stop running. And then she gets injured, hurt in the leg, can't move anymore. And then when the beasts attack them all, she gets her throat ripped out and then eaten. I think she's eaten dead rather than eaten alive. And then
it seems like it.
So not a fun way to go. None of these are fun ways to go. Beth, who we established is the kind of the best friend, she has just a truly oh my god no death when Juno is fighting off the bad guys, and then Beth doesn't mean to creep up behind her Maybe Beth could have shouted, "Hey,